everybody, it's Lori here today to do a sit-down style video where we're going to talk about some second chance showdowns of sorts, where I read the second book in a series that I started this year to find out, am I going to continue the series this year, or is it time to maybe put them on the shelf for a while? So welcome if you're new to the channel. I hope you decide to stick around and subscribe down below. And welcome back to those of you that have watched my videos before and are subscribed. I am so glad that you are a part of the channel. I feel like I've got like dust bunnies flying in here. I am off for the holiday weekend, so happy Memorial Day weekend. If you or your family members have been in service to our country, thank you for your service. We do appreciate it and hope you have a wonderful and happy Memorial Day with your friends and family. All right, so the 4 books, I'm going to show you the 4 books that we're going to talk about today, and then we're going to delve into them a little bit further. I want to show them to you first so you know what's upcoming, and then we're going to dive into a little bit further discussion. We have Scandal in Skibbereen, I think that's how you say it, by Sheila Connolly. If you remember, I read the first book in this series as a part of my St. Patrick's Day vlog. Wanted to continue to see if this is something that I wanted to add to my TBR for the rest of 2023. Do I want to prioritize reading some of those books in the series? So I thought I would try that one. We have an Ellie Alexander series here. This is one of the 2 that I started this year. This is the Bakeshop mystery series. It's the second book, A Matter of Life and Death. Really been enjoying Ellie Alexander. Of course, my dogs have to get in the video somehow. So we have a new dog that has a new family. It's not just the dog. A new family that has moved in behind us. We've never had a dog on either side of us or behind us before. And so it's a giant, beautiful golden retriever. And so they aren't really sure if they're loving it or not. So every time he goes out and plays in the backyard, and they're like jealous and they want to go play. I'm not sure if it's totally that yet. We're getting there. Fingers crossed that they'll figure it out between them. All right, the 3rd book is a noodle shop mystery, Dim Sum of All Fears by Vivien Chien. And the 4th book is Finlay Donovan, Knocks 'Em Dead. So I know the Finlay Donovan series has been just the buzz for the last, I don't know, it's probably a couple of years, but I'm seeing a lot of people reading it. There are 3 books, I believe, in the series now. There are more upcoming. So I wanted to jump on the hype train and see if I enjoyed this series. So more to come with my thoughts on that. But we're going to start with the first book that I read. Actually, did I put these in somewhat of an order? Kind of. We're going to talk about Scandal in Skibbereen first. Our main character, Maura here, I'm just going to go with that's how you say it. Just Maura here has moved to Ireland in this book. She was a Boston native. Her grandmother passed away, and her dying wish was that Maura goes back to her hometown, the grandmother's hometown, visit, see her friends, distant family members, and get to see what her life was like before she came to America. And so Maura does that. And in the first book, she inherits a bar in a small home, so she decides to take up residence there. She doesn't have anything to go back to Boston for, and so she decides, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna try my hand at this business. I'm gonna give it my all and see what happens. She meets a lot of great locals, and it's a very nice small town atmosphere, great for a cozy mystery. And I really do like Maura. She's trying to figure out her own way. She's only ever had her life that she's known with her grandmother, where they didn't have any money for any extras or anything like that, and she's not afraid of hard work. So that's good, because the bar is definitely in need of some TLC, some good scrubbing, and she tries her hand at the business. So in this book, she is still plugging away at the business, trying to make a go of it, coming up with different ideas, trying to figure out what might work to get tourists in this short tourist season that they have. And we have an American that shows up in the bar asking some questions. She's very pushy. Her name is Althea, I believe, and she's very, very pushy, tries to push her way into this small town, asking questions about the potential for a painting that has never been seen outside of the town. She thinks it would be in one of the manor houses there. Wealthy family may have commissioned it from a now well-known painter, and she wants to get her hands on it. She wants to be the one that finds it and get her name out there. She's trying to keep her job, I believe, or get a different one. Her contract is running out, and so she's trying to make a name for herself basically in the art industry and wants to find this painting. She's extremely pushy. And was unfortunately the worst part of this book for me. And I don't know, honestly, if part of it was because the book kept telling me, like the characters kept telling me, oh, she's so annoying, she's so pushy, she, is offending everybody. And it kept reinforcing that. And I don't know if that made it more so in my mind, where I kept thinking, oh yeah, she's annoying, she's pushy, I don't like this character. I think it might have been that was influencing me a little bit, but there's no doubt that she definitely thrusts herself into this town and demands that they all basically help her for her own gains. And then, Mara kind of helps her to realize that, okay, but is there anything in it for them? They want to know that you're not just coming in and taking advantage of these really kind, wonderful people in this town. Is there something in it for them? Can they benefit in some way? Can it help a family that maybe is down on their luck if they can find this painting? So I didn't enjoy this as much as the first book in the series, I will say. Now, I gave it a 3-star on Goodreads. I'll put my link down below if you want to follow me on Goodreads to see what I'm reading for upcoming vlogs. But I'm going to say probably a 2.75. I don't want to quibble about that, but it's not as good as a typical cozy that I read and I enjoy. It was a little bit less so because of this character. However, I will say, because she's not a main character, God help us if she is, I don't think she's going to be featured in upcoming books. So I think that I can put that aside and give the third book in the series a try. Now, I don't know that I'm going to be so super eager to figure out where I can put it in the next few months or so, but I will definitely consider the third book in this series as something that I do want to read. Give this series another try, see if this is something I want to continue. I do like the town, I like Mora. I want to see what happens with her business, how she makes a go of it. So I'm interested to see how all that plays out. But for now, I'm going to put it on temporary shelving and wait until later in the year. The next book that I finished was A Matter of Life and Death, which is an Ellie Alexander mystery. We have Juliet Capshaw, love her name, in Ashland, Oregon. She returns home in the first book, kind of trying to heal a broken heart or figure out what she's going to do with her estranged husband. I believe it's Carlos here. Is she going to stay in her hometown? Or is she going to go back on the cruise ship with him or another cruise ship and be a pastry chef there, which is what she was doing prior to her coming home? Or is she going to try to go out on her own? Maybe go in with somebody else on another business, baking pastries, because that's what she does. She's a pastry chef. And so she's trying to figure out all of those things and figure out what the next chapter of her life is going to be, while helping her mother kind of with their struggling. They're struggling financially a little bit, even though business is booming. But things are breaking down as they do. They are working on one oven instead of two. That's a huge expense to replace an oven in a bakery. And so trying to come up with ways that they might improve their bottom line. Juliet has a lot of great ideas, including doing some catering. They're working on improving their coffee creations. That's something that their barista is loving doing. And so they are increasing their business. People line up waiting for their lovely pastries. Don't read this hungry because, oh my gosh, everything sounds delectable and delicious in here. But Juliet is trying to figure out what she wants to do with the next chapters in her life. And in this book, we have her participating as a part of a game show, baking, bake-off type of game show, and she becomes one of the contestants. Everybody feels like she is a shoo-in because she is so talented. Everything sounds so wonderful. But there are some other chefs in there that give her a run for her money. And of course, there's a murder. I didn't say that with the previous, but it's a cozy mystery. There's a murder. And in this one, I'm going to go back to this one for a quick second. The murder victim in here didn't seem as much a part of the story as I would have liked. So that's another reason. Sorry, we got a little bit. I was thinking, wait a minute, I didn't talk about the murder victim. Duh. But the murder victim in here is definitely part of the action, and it makes sense as far as the plot of this mystery. I did enjoy this one. I will say my biggest quibble with this series so far, and I need to look this up because I am somebody that doesn't mind knowing some things going in. I'm okay with that. Not everything has to be a surprise. I kind of want to know if the relationship kind of drags with her estranged husband like throughout the series, because there is another potential love interest kind of waiting in the wings. Nothing happens, but you can tell that there's some things that could happen, or this person wants things to happen, and Juliet is kind of wondering what she wants to do as well. I don't want this to be like the, what is it, Hannah Swenson, Joanna Fluke series, where I swear the last time I looked, and it was within the last year, there was still the love triangle between Norman, is it, Mike, and Hannah. I swear. I read that series for years, and I just want them to come to some kind of resolution. And I don't think the author wants to do that for whatever reason. And so I don't want that to be repeated in this book. She's still wondering what to do. Don't take this to mean that she's having relationships with both of them. She is on, they're separated. Her and her husband are separated from one another, and she is not carrying out a relationship with this other love interest. But I just kind of want it to come to a resolution and not drag on for 20, some odd books. So I might look at that and just see. Because if it comes to a resolution, that's great. But if not, I don't know. I might have to rethink the series. But for now, I definitely enjoyed this one. I'm going to give this a 3-star. I did really enjoy this. There are recipes in the back. Again, don't eat this when you're... don't eat this? Yeah, don't eat this. First of all, don't eat this book. Don't read this. I don't think that would be delicious. No matter how great this cover looks, it's not going to be delicious. Don't read this when you're super hungry, for sure, because everything sounds great. Or be prepared to make yourself a snack of some sort. But yeah, I'm going to give this a 3-star, and I will definitely be picking up the 3rd book in this series as long as I know that there's some kind of resolution in the future for the relationships. Okay, so the 3rd book that I read was Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. So this is the 2nd book in the infamous Finlay Donovan series. And I have been hearing a lot of reviews where people start with the 1st book and they give it like 5 stars plus. They love it. It's like a favorite book of the year for them. It's like in the top 10 lists or whatever of last year. And then all of a sudden they read this book and they're like, what? What happened? And so I wasn't as enthusiastic with the 1st book as other people. And I think I rated it pretty high. I want to say, did I give it a 4-star? I feel like I did. The more I thought about it, the more I was thinking, do I really think it's a 4-star? Or is it more like a 3.5-star? I had fun. It was definitely, and I keep using the word for it, zany. It was out of control. Everything that could go wrong pretty much did. I mean, the things that happen really will keep you on your edge of your seat, for sure, and highly entertained. So it was entertaining. But, and I've said this a few different times, sometimes in my comments and different things, but I feel like I'm of the age of somebody who read the Stephanie Plum series back in the day when it started from Janet Ivanovich. Okay, so I read it in the beginning when it came out. It was so different from anything else that I had read up until that point. And it really was just so funny for me at the time, and all of the crazy things that happen. And it was timely at that time. Now the series is still going and I'm still reading them. Actually, I just recently caught up on the series, I believe. They're not as good now because it's been going on for so long. And essentially a lot of the same things, type of things keep happening. Like her cars blow up all the time. I mean, they do. But for me, it was groundbreaking in the fact of some of the things that were happening in the book. I hadn't seen that done in a book before at the time. And it was hilarious. Some of the scenes were so funny to me. Absolutely loved it. Now, keep in mind, I was reading historical fiction and like historical romance and cozy mysteries back at that point. So, I mean, that was completely off the charts for what I was reading, and loved it. It was a great change of pace, fun, fluffy, type of read that I could just, laugh my way through. I think this has been inspired by those books. I kind of feel like the author probably read those books or heard a lot of praise for them, and they're in a similar vein. They're written in a similar vein for me, and they just fall short, I think, because I have that background of those books in my past. So for those readers of a certain age that didn't spend, their 20s and early 30s maybe reading those books and loving them, this is the book for them because they love it. It's different, it's zany, it's funny. It's different than the horror or thriller genres that they're reading right now. And so it's kind of a light, fun read. But the problem is with this that Finlay has other responsibilities that don't exactly work for this series. And what I mean by that is she has children. She has an ex-husband and children. She's trying to shuffle really her children around with this ex-husband that is problematic, and that's like probably the nicest word that I can come up with for him. They kind of feel like an afterthought and a hindrance, and children are not. Obviously I have children, I love them, but that's what it feels like in this book. It feels like the children are kind of a second thought, just something to add a little bit of flavor with like the Cheerios in the backseat of her minivan kind of a thing, versus something that she really spends a lot of time and care and love on, which she would with children. So I think that's the problem with these books as it goes along, because the children become like this responsibility that you don't, or I didn't want Finlay to have. I felt like they were a hindrance to the story. The ex-husband is just an absolute idiot and jerk. I feel like we all want him to perish slowly and painfully in this series. He's just such a tool, and he has these feelings for him that I'm like, why? He's an idiot, and he's a jerk and takes you and the children for granted and all of these things. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people have with this series. Now, this started off good because there is a hit that's supposedly put out on her ex-husband, and I was inwardly cheering. I know, terrible, but he's a fictional character. I mean, we can cheer, right? That there's a hit for him. So I was thinking, okay, good. Maybe he'll be the victim because he's well hated. And so she goes and tries to save him throughout this book, try to figure out like, hey, maybe I can offer to be the hitman for him and then keep him out of danger. But it's another zany, quirky book with the children and trying to keep him away from the children. It's a lot of the same, but it doesn't quite work as well as the first book. So I will say this one, I'm going to give it a 2.5 stars. I didn't hate it. I know a lot of people really dislike this one, and then number 3 they are like no. So I think I'm gonna be stopping at this point. I'm not saying forever. That's the nice thing about books, is that you can go back to them. I mean, maybe I'll have a hankering to see what happens in the third book, or I'll hear, hey, book number 4 is fantastic, it's back on track. The ex-husband gets jailed indefinitely for, I don't know, killing somebody, who knows? And so he's out of the picture. I don't know, but I don't know what would make me want to pick up another book in this series. But I think I'm done. It wasn't terrible. It was entertaining, but unfortunately was overshadowed a little bit too much by, feeling like she felt like her kids were a hindrance, and, the ex-husband kind of just hanging over in the background. So 2.5 stars. Let me know your thoughts. Are you going to continue with this series? Have you continued? Are you up to date? Have you decided to kind of shelve this for now and see what happens with the series as it moves forward? Let me know your thoughts. I'm curious because I know a lot of booktubers that I've been seeing kind of done at the second book, and that surprised me, truly. It surprised me. All right, the last book in the series is a noodle shop mystery, Dim Sum of All Fears by Vivien Chien. The first book was Death by Dumpling. This one I think I actually liked better than the first book. So that is ding, ding, ding. Applause. Really good. I think that the characters are coming more alive for me as this series goes on. We have Lana Lee here, who is kind of put in a position of responsibility for her parents' restaurant for the first time. She has just kind of been in her parents' shadow, basically her mother's shadow, and they decide they're going to take a trip to go visit her grandmother, who seems to be ailing. out of the country and leave Lana in charge over her sister, who is busy with law school. I think it's law school. So they're going to Taiwan. They leave her in charge. And she's kind of like, I don't want this. She had applied for another job. She was in the interview process and was really hoping for that job, and then kind of gets saddled with this responsibility as they leave the country. So in the midst of all of this, we have, of course, a death, a murder that occurs, and she's trying to juggle all of those responsibilities. She is trying to juggle a budding romance, responsibilities of the restaurant, and she sticks her nose into the murder because the victims were good friends of hers. The wife was a very, very good friend of hers. It was another business owner in the plaza that they have their restaurant in. She takes it very personally. This was somebody important to her that she was having a really good friendship with. She wants to know what the heck happened. Why would somebody murder her? She was a wonderful person from all accounts. And so Lana decides she's going to assist the police, as we usually see in cozies, and assist them in figuring out what happened to her dear friend. I actually really kind of enjoyed this one. I liked this better than the first book in the series, which I said the characters seemed pretty one-dimensional to me and really didn't evolve and come alive enough for me. They did more so in this one. I'm really starting to dislike the mother in this, though, who just seems like all of a sudden fly by the seat of her pants and was like, we're off to Taiwan, have fun, giggle, giggle, see ya. You're in charge, Lana. And it's like, did you even ask her? I mean, I guess it didn't cross her mind to ask her if she wanted to be in charge or give her a raise for doing all of this extra work. So I was incensed a little bit on behalf of our main character here. But other than that, I mean, I really did enjoy this one. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I feel like it really redeemed itself from the first book in the series. And I will definitely be picking up the third one sometime this year. Okay, so we had a pretty mixed bag here. We have 2 books that I'm definitely going to be picking up later in the year and want to continue to see what happens. It's okay though. I mean, like I always say, there are a lot of books. There's a lot of things that I can be reading that I can enjoy. And so it's okay. Maybe Finlay Donovan isn't for me, or maybe I look into a future book in the series and maybe skip book 3. God knows, in the Janet Ivanovich series, you can skip books. You can, and still catch up to figure out what the heck is going on. There are some books that are better than others. It happens with every series. And so maybe that'll happen and I'll hear book 4 is fantastic and I'll feel like I need to pick it up. That's okay. And as far as the Country Cork mystery series here, I will pick it up at some point in the future. I just don't know if I'm like chomping at the bit to get a hold of the next book right now. Maybe it's a St. Patrick's Day mystery that I pick up next year and read the next book in the series for that. That could very well be. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts. If you've read this series, I don't know how many books are in this series. I need to check that out as well. Let me know if you have continued on in reading the series. What are your thoughts? Does it continue to get better? Does it kind of slide off? Did you feel like the first book was the best book in the series? Let me know your thoughts. Always interested to hear the thoughts of all of you, or if there's another cozy mystery series that you think that I would enjoy based on these. Let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to talk to you in the comment section. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.